ang mga ganyang idea, concept of ownership. Okay? And then next we have the Industrial Revolution. So dito, mas tumaas na yung level of or yung lifestyle because they already shifted their energy source using fossil fuels. So of course, mas mataas yung effect nito sa environment. So may mga positive naman and then meron ding negative. So they are already efficient when it comes to farming and then mas mabilis kumakaso yung human population growth. And then also, mas mataas din yung pag-consume nila ng fossil fuels kasi mas marami na silang ginagawa. Okay, marami na silang kino-consume. And in this period also, they were introduced for the use of fertilizers and then pesticides sa kanilang farming. And then synthetic plastics. So of course, above all these things, higher amounts of pollutions because of fossil fuels. Okay? Ayan. So, advanced industrial society. So, karugtong pa yun nung kanina. So, more on, mas nag-improve sila. Okay, they shift from natural materials to synthetic. And then, more energy use. And, of course, increased production and consumption of goods. So, lahat yun. Unti-unti nang maangat yung buhay. Same time yung way of living. So, upon discussing that, so we familiarized the differences of lifestyle, okay, ng human activities with regard to the environment. Okay, nakita natin yung development, okay, from scratch to hanggang mas nag-level up yung development hanggang ngayon, di ba? Hanggang ngayon, na-observe natin yun. Unti-unti, grabe yung development. Or hindi nga siya unti-unti, but ngayon, mas mabilis na yung development. Okay? After ng development, it comes another one. So, grabe. Grabe yung resources na nagagamit natin. But at the same time, those activities have environmental effects. Okay? So, that is why we come up or we encounter, until now, environmental problems. So why do you think we have environmental problems? Anyone can share their thoughts? I hope okay lang na tatlong blocks. Okay, you can just share
Ako, ma'am.
something. Yes, Adrian?
First and foremost po, human activities po causes environmental problem.
What kind of human activities?
We just simply of use of cars and other gases po, which resulted to huge amount of carbon footprints po. Yan po, mga ganong activities.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Any more? Yes, Cherry.
Ano po, ma'am, parang for more innovations and more changes that are happening in our environment, there should be a responsibility accommodate that would accommodate all the changes and all the adjustments that we do po, ma'am.
Okay, so you think kaya tayo may problem dahil walang nag-accommodate ng changes? Yun ba yung...
Siguro po, right now, not enough pa po.
Okay. So that's how I understand it. Okay, thank you. Any more?
Ma'am,
Wait.
rinig po ba?
Yes.
Ayun. Sa tingin ko po, yung level po kasi ng yung speed po ng development ng tao, parang hindi kinakaya ng Earth, saka yung pag-replenish, yung natural na pag-replenish ng resources. Like, kasi baga, 'di ba, ang mga tao naturally ang mindset po nila is parang ma-improve po bagay yung sarili nila.
Yes.
Breaking the limits, ganoon po ang drama. ng mga tao, lalo mga millennials ngayon. Kaya parang, ang nangyayari po, yung natural po na pace na pag-replenish ng nature, ng sarili niyang resources, hindi po siya enough para ma-sustain po yung constant changing and upgrading needs po ng tao. Yun po.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Yes, that is correct. Okay. So, kasi alam naman natin that we need to develop. Pero, bakit nagkakaroon pa ng environmental problems when in fact very high-tech na tayo? And then, we know all the solutions. Ang dami ng matalinong tao. We discover things and that. Pero still, we have environmental problems. So, tama yung mga sinabi nyo, no? So, it means too much development na hindi natin nakakalculate yung effects environment na ang nangyari is hindi niya nga kinakaya yung changes. Kumbaga, yung Earth, ang kaya lang niya is ganito ang amount of changes pero yung nabibigay natin is triple or grabe pa. So, that is why, kumbaga, nalulunod siya sa changes na ibinibigay ng tao na gusto, develop lang develop hanggang hindi na naiintindihan. Okay, so, ayun. So, ang nangyari tuloy is we keep on developing on solutions to address these problems, which is in the very first place is kakagagawa natin. Okay? So, okay na? Any more? Okay, so I'll continue. So here are some of the major causes of the problems that we are encountering or experiencing right now, especially right now. Okay, we have population growth, unsustainable resource use, poverty, and then yung pag-neglect natin ng environmental costs from market prices. So, ibig sabihin dito sa last part is we keep on using the environmental resources without calculating its effects in case itayo mo man siya doon or gamitin mo man ito. Okay, lagi na lang this is just for this business or this is just for this building or activity pero hindi nila nakikita yung kapalit or yung nakuha nila from the environment. So, the human population is exponentially growing at a rapid rate. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang siya equal addition but exponentially tumataas yung pagdami ng tao. And then, poverty. Okay, why poverty has harmful environment and health effects? We will see later on. And then, yun. The harmful and beneficial environmental effects, medyo niya rin nakikita, as well as, yun, the value of natural capital. So, of course, in everything that we do with the environment, lahat yung capital yan. Okay, we use the natural capital. Pero hindi natin nakikita na hindi natin nababalik yung capital na yun. Or it's either nakuha man natin, kaya lang it's just for us. Okay? Hindi siya na ibabalik sa environment. So here is an example or a statistical data of poverty, the state of poverty. Kung bakit sinasabing isa siya sa mga rason ng problema natin sa environment. So here you will see the lists of lack of access of people to the following necessities. Okay? And then here sa kabila, nakikita niyo yung graph, yung percentage of people na walang access to this. So example sa last part, lack of access to enough food for good health. Ibig sabihin, 14% of the population in the whole world walang access sa food na good for their health. Okay? And then, madami naman na problema because of poverty. Okay? Wala silang access sa sanitation facilities. So, in every problem na related to poverty, connected yan sa environment. Okay? Ibig sabihin, lahat siya may interrelationship, may contribution when it comes to the problems na nangyayari sa environment. So, example for that sanitation facility. So, imagine those people having no proper toilet, proper comfort rooms in their houses or in anywhere in their community, wala silang access niyan. Ibig sabihin, whenever they dispose their wastes, okay, nagkakaroon yun ng problem sa environment. So, ang balik din nun is health problem. So, lahat-lahat na yun, magkakaroon na ng effect sa community. So, that is how complex the correlation of elements around us. Okay? Okay. So, population growth, also, this is just two types of determining population growth. So, we have linear growth and then exponential. So, just brief introduction for population growth. So, for linear, ibig sabihin, may increase ay sa dami ng tao or population growth pero fixed yung amount for each unit of time. So, 1,000 people, next year 1,000 ulit, so that's linear growth. Pero ang exponential, okay, quantity increases by a fixed percentage. So, ibig sabihin, kunwari, 100% lagi yung increase. So, by last year, 1,000, next year, 2,000 na naman, next year, 3,000 ang increase. So, in a given period of time, nakikita yung pag-overshoot or exponential growth. Okay, so right now, exponentially. Okay, we are exponentially growing at that rate. Okay, so this figure shows the curve of the population growth. So, simula dun kanina sa diniscuss natin, 10,000 BC. Okay, and then you can see here the that era or period. Okay, and you can see there the changes in the population. So, this is in billions, okay? So, here, pataas ng pataas hanggang umabot sa Industrial Revolution. So, you can see that is correlated to the development. So, as much as nagde-develop ang isang community, ang isang bansa, okay, ibig sabihin nun, nag-level up din yung lifestyle, ibig sabihin, dumadami rin yung population. Okay, so, in the coming topics, in the next few weeks, we will discuss on sana umabot dito, no, economic growth or sa economics, anong connection niya sa population hanggang environment. Okay? Okay, so here is just a simple diagram of the economic state, okay, or how the economy is going up so far. So here is the rich and the poor. Okay, the rich people tends to throw their excess resources or excess supply of things. They just throw it out if they don't need it anymore. But unfortunately, with poor people, okay, kung ano tinapon nung rich sa kanila, that is still essential or wala silang choice but to get it. Okay, that is how different, okay, how opposite the rich and the poor status right now in the economy. And habang tumatagal, lumalaki yung gap, okay, between rich and the poor. Sabi nga nila, ang mayaman, lalong yung mayaman, ang mga mahihirap, lalong humihirap. So, lalo siya lang naghihiwalay. Okay, that is a very big problem. That's why the United Nations are aiming to solve this as much as possible. Sana ma-solve. with the different goals that they have set and they have created para ma-unite lahat ng nations so that unti-unti pwedeng ma-solve yung mga problems. Okay? Because everything na nangyari is correlated talaga. Okay? So I hope we will just familiarize it as we go along. Okay, so here are just some terms, okay, na na-encounter natin, okay, in the next topics na mali-discuss. Okay, so resource or resources, that is anything we get from the living and non-living environment to meet our needs and wants. Okay, this can be tangible or intangible. Okay, for tangible material, that is anything that can be measured, okay, and the supply is limited. Okay, for non-material, counted dyan yung mga immeasurable sources like your solitude, security, knowledge, and then so on. Okay, so material resources. So it can be those non-renewable. Okay, pwede din siya yung perpetual. And then the potentially renewable. Okay? And so we have those trees, forests, grasses as potential renewable resource. Okay? And then the perpetual resource, ito yung inexhaustible in a human time scale. Okay? It should be used for sustainable lifestyle. Okay, so sustainable yield and environmental degradation. So these are terms that describes important part of environment sustainability. So for sustainable yield, it means that it's the rate or that is the best highest rate in which a potentially renewable resource can be used without reducing its available supply in a particular area. So dapat this yield or this type of rate, ito yung nagre-represent nung period na yon. And then that supply can be consumed without degrading or without sacrificing the sources for future use. Okay? That is how you can determine if it is sustainable. And then the degradation, of course, this is the process in which the supply of a potentially renewable resource begins to shrink. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya agad-agad na-replenish. That's why nagkakaroon ng problema for sustaining it. Okay? So, nagde-degrade na. The next, we have the scarcity. So, these are just terms so that we can be familiarized. So, pag sabi mong scarcity, pwedeng absolute, pwedeng relative. Okay, pag absolute, supplies of a resource are insufficient or too expensive to meet present or future demands. So, kapag relative naman, it occurs when enough of a resource is still available to meet the demand, pero merong imbalance sa pag-distribute. Okay? Naintindihan po? So far, wala namang questions. You can just ask or you can just share your thoughts if you want to say something. Okay, so pollution. This is part of the problem. Okay, so anything that is undesirable na change sa mga areas, like sa bodies of water, sa land, okay, sa farm, sa food, sa soil, na nagkakaroon ng effect sa human activities and then other organisms, that is called pollution. So it can come from two types of source. We have the point and then the non-point sources. So the point source, of course, you can identify which is the main source or point of that particular pollution or chemical na nakita. Okay? Pwede siyang ma-identify. And then, the non-point, of course, kapag maraming chemicals na biglang nakita sa, kunwari sa river, but you cannot see saan siya galing, okay, alin ito doon, so that is a non-point source. Okay? So here are just the effects of pollution. Of course, you know that already. Okay, it can damage health, pwedeng yung property, pwedeng yung plant and non-human animal life, and then disruption of life support systems. Okay? So, pollution. Okay, so ang pollution pwedeng ma-determine with these factors. So we have the chemical nature, the concentration of that particular pollutant, and then its persistence. If gano'n siya kahirap or gano'n siya katagal na nagsusustain or nagsistay in that particular medium to cause damage. Okay? So, yan yun. Yan yung factors. Okay. So, we have here the ecological footprint. So, just an overview. So, I think by next week, we will start on activity with this. So, I know you already know this. So, in some concepts, it is called also the carbon footprint. Okay? So, for ecological footprint, it is the measurement of your it's either per day or per month na consumption or resource use. So in here, in this figure, you can see percentage, okay, of per resource. So you have clothing, you have housing, and then services, and then foods and other goods and transport, and whatever. Okay, so dito makikita mo, alin yung pinaka ginagamit mo? Alin yung pinaka marami mong contribution when it comes to consuming resources. Okay? So, sa activity natin next time, or maybe next week, depende if magawa na natin yung activity 1, so we will move to this. So, ipapacalculate ko kayo ng resource use. No? So, don't worry, it will just be easy. May instructions naman na ibibigay. So, hope we can go through that. Okay? Ayan, so some other terms for population. So, we have overpopulation, carrying capacity. Okay, so these are just correlating the relationships of population to resource use and then technology. You have environmental degradation and then so on. Okay? Yeah, so environmental problems are complex. So these are some of the causes then, okay, of the problems. Now, I will jump this sustainability. I will discuss this by next meeting. Okay, so move tayo sa SDGs. So, SDGs, I hope you encounter this. Narinig niyo na ba ang SDGs? Or ngayon lang po?
Narinig po, ma'am. Po.
Ha?
Dati po, ma'am. Narinig na po, ma'am.
Okay. So, SDGs are goals they made or set by the UN so that as a whole organization, okay, the countries, the nations will commit to contribute in order to achieve these. So these are the following goals. So they have 17 goals set to transform our world. So, ganun talaga. Very ironic kasi you choose to develop, okay, from that period before hanggang ngayon, okay, develop na tayo ng develop, pero in every development na na-achieve, there are effects sa environment, and then now we are focused on solving that problems that we have caused. Okay, so these 17 goals are ways, okay, to address those problems. So these are the goals that are correlated, okay, they are interconnected. So when you achieve one goal, it may be as a solution to another. Okay, that is why this is very important na lahat din ng students and every one of us, as much as possible, ma-familiarize ito so that we can know how to contribute to this. Okay? Hindi naman kailangan na mag-form din ng organization, but at least in our own actions, we can be familiarized to how we can contribute to this. Okay? So these are the 17. So number 1, we have the no poverty. Next is zero hunger, good health and well-being, okay, quality education, and then so on. So, yan. Siguro napakaganda na if lahat yan ma-achieve, no? So, sana lahat, okay, ginugol, sana na makatulong for this. So, as much as possible, okay, we should be aware of our environment, kung ano nangyayari natin sa society, okay, so that we can maximize, okay, the way of living. At the same time, we will not harm anyone or the environment. Okay, so we will end here in Sustainable Development Goals. So, any question? So far, wala naman pong question. Or anything you'd like to share? Okay na kay class? Okay, Miss Cherry, thank you. Okay, so that's it for today. So thank you, class, for attending our lecture. I hope you learned something. Okay, we will continue that because this PowerPoint presentation is a bit long kasi almost 2 topics yung covered niya. So we will continue other coverage sa next meeting. Okay? Okay na kayo?
Yes po.
So
Okay na po, ma'am.
can I request for your cameras to be turned on? Ayan. May iba parang kakagising lang. Nagsaing na ba kayo? Baka iba nakapag-dinner na. Okay, smile.